So today I want to start looking at building up this little VT100 emulator. This is a design from I think 2014. It's kind of all over the web. Geoff was the original designer of this. It's all licensed under the Creative Commons, non-commercial. I need like a VT100 kind of emulator, something I can use easily with my MSI and other machines. And I've seen these before, and I think I built one of these up ages ago and used it, and I have no idea where it is. And so after a bit of digging, I decided to go ahead and download the Gerber files and have PCBs made. And I've kind of dug through my junk box here and pulled out various parts that I think will work with this. We'll find out. Some are pools. Some appear to be kind of new stuff. I don't even know where it came from. I thought I had more video connectors. I don't think that's going to be the right one. Actually, looking at it, I'm pretty sure it's not, but we'll find out. I thought I had, these have become kind of hard to find. But the first thing let's do is take a dive into the PCBs. So I ordered these from, boy, I don't remember. It doesn't really say on the box. What does it say made these? I don't know if it was PCB Way or... It was one of the Chinese printed circuit board manufacturers. I just uploaded the Gerber files. They validated them, placed the order. It's always a case where I think their default quantity was 5. Changing the quantity to 10 didn't change the price. Because I was a first-time buyer from them, I got a $5 discount. I think my total charge for the 10 boards, including shipping, was $9. Which is really pretty cheap. That was just amazing to me that they were that inexpensive. Again, PCB manufacturers just become, you know, almost ubiquitous. It's just really easy to order and get. So, quick look at the boards. They look really good. Wow. So let's go ahead and see if I have a pair of scissors laying here. I know I have scissors in here, but if there's so many projects on the bench at the moment, so many things going on, I really need to straighten up. So I didn't need 10 boards. I will probably list the extra boards on eBay. I did order 10 of the PIC processors, so I can provide those pre-programmed, hopefully. Well, the boards are looking really good. Well, pretty happy with that. One of the things to immediately notice, the silkscreen on here is incorrect. This should be a 10K and 100K over here, and that's just a known issue. We've got our DB15 right angle, and it looks like it is new. No idea where I got it, and it's just a perfect fit. So we've got a few of these, so that guy's going to work. This video connector, however, isn't. I may be able to enlarge that drill through hole there and make this work. I really thought I had some of these. I'll have to keep digging. I believe it's a 24-pin pick, 28-pin pick. And I didn't have 28-pin 300 mil socket, so I've got a 20 and an 8-pin 300 mil here, and I'll just use 2 sockets to essentially build myself up a 28-pin socket. That'll be fine. That's got all 6 pins I'm going to want to use. This is a pool. You can see leftover solder on it. I do pool a lot of stuff and just kind of squirrel it away and try to keep it somewhat organized. This is for the PS2 keyboard. But that does look like it's the exact right connector. I've got a few of these. Luckily, although what it has are the strain reliefs here that the PCB doesn't have. Those are obviously going to need to come off to fit on here. And so I'm going to go into the assumption I'm going to use this connector, and I'll remove these two strain relief ears. And hopefully I can kind of get that to fit. Is that center hole big enough? Yeah, it looks like it is. Pins are all kind of bent up a little bit, just because this was a pull. See if I can straighten them up a bit. Give myself a little better odds of getting this to plug down in. As a test fit. It's always nice when you can use stuff you've pulled. That center pin might be struggling to fit through the hole there. It's not the exact same connector this was designed for. Can I get you to, there it goes. So that guy's going to work. That gives me the PS2 connector for the keyboard. There is a USB connector. This one looks like it's new. Probably bought a bunch of these. Need one for a different project, and as I always do, I just buy extras. They get thrown into the connector bin. It looks like this is going to be a... Oh no, it's not the right one. Oh, nope. So, pin out layout is different, so that guy's not going to work for me. I did buy some additional parts. This is the 8 megahertz oscillator for the pick, and since they're cheap, I picked up some 82 and 150 ohms. I couldn't remember if I had anything in my stock or not. So we've got a start here. We've got some stuff that's going to work, some that isn't. You know, I've got some tantalum caps here. I'm sure these are pulls. Yeah, I pull tantalums. They're expensive. It's asking for 10 microfarad, 35 volt, I think is what he spec'd. That one's going to work. I'm going to have to go dig for another one. I can see the lead spacing on one of them isn't going to work. Definitely a pull. There's still solder on a lead. There's two of what I need. This guy is not going to work. 27 picofarad caps, and he's labeled 273, and he should be labeled 27J. Those of course will work. The oscillator is a standard size. So we've got to start here what we need to put this together. So let me fire up the soldering pencil. We'll do a bit of soldering here. Actually not super worried about the video. Haven't quite decided how I'm going to use this yet, whether it's going to be composite or RGB. I may build a couple of these up. I've got a really nice monochrome monitor that'll do 80 column, 24, 25 line. And it'd be really cool to build this into that case of that old monitor. And really all it would need would be the RS-232 and the PS2 connector coming out, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and put some sockets on. Pins are kind of messed up a bit. We'll start with sockets to kind of hold the board upright. Oh, that bench is just a disaster. We'll tack a couple of corner pins. And since it's two sockets, there's two sockets worth of corner pins. I don't think he's quite flush. He wasn't. Oh man, I still got the sniffly nose that I've complained about in previous videos. This cold going around this year, it's just been horrible. Head cold, chest cold, sore throat, earache. It's kind of burned through where I work. A lot of sick people. Just been really nasty. I am going to have to figure out how to program the PIC. None of my universal programs will program a PIC 32. I may end up hooking up my PIC Kit 3, which has PIC 32 support, I believe. Another possibility is I have a PIC 32 development system from a Micro E, and I don't remember if it's got the proper socket on it or not for the PIC here. But either way, I'll be able to get these things programmed. And we have a socket. We have 100K. Buried in the mess here someplace. There's the 10. Brown, black, yellow will be the 100K. And that is labeled 47 on the silk screen. We're going to put these in first since we know they are errata. The errata sheet here was actually in with the Gerber files, which was interesting. That's 10K. I don't think if I had, if I hadn't uploaded the Gerber files, went looking for them and uploaded them to get the boards made, I may not have come across the fact that there was errata here. And where that errata lives, just since we're talking about it in the schematic, is right down here to the serial port. So it says 10K and 100K here ohm resistors that were mis-silk screened. I'm sniffling again. I'm trying not to. Apologies. I know how distracting it is in video. It seems like no matter how much I try to get rid of this cold, the last little remnants of it just seem to be living on forever. That takes care of those two resistors. That's the two with errata. I guess we can go through what other resistors I've pulled out here. This is a 220, so it's part of the RGB stuff down here. At least I think that's the setup as a color mixing network for VGA. I need a 470 ohm. Did I pull a 470 ohm? Probably right here. Yeah, I had to think about the color code there for a minute. And I don't have the tolerance bands the same direction. Again, not super important, but it makes me happy. Just makes the board look a little more neat. 470, there's 150 is going to be required. I actually went ahead. The resistors are just so cheap. I bought I think I bought 50. Just because I'll throw them in my stock and have them for next time. And I know I had 82 ohm here someplace, but I couldn't find them. So 150. Where's the 82 ohm go? Oh yeah, right there. Okay. Pull out one of the 82 ohm. And again, bought more than I potentially need, but you know, it was like I don't even remember, a couple of cents per resistor. And 50 quantities, like $1 or $1.50 for each bag here, just, you know, insanely dirt cheap. It wasn't that much more buying 50 than buying 10. Now let's go ahead and solder those up. Nice PCB, you know, I'm really impressed with the quality of the PCB you can get very inexpensive out of China. I have no idea what they're doing to the environment manufacturing them. The videos I've seen imply they're being respectful, and it looks like the Chinese government is dealing more and more with, you know, proper disposal of chemicals. I watched on Strange Parts a video where they talked about manufacturing being moved further out from the population centers to help deal with the pollution kind of stuff. We've got 4.7K that go in various places, and that is these guys. One nice little easy board to put together. Sorry, I was looking at the tolerance band to make sure it matched. There's one up there. Don't know how many thousands of these have been produced over the decades. Well, 2014, okay, the last 5 years. I see them pop up on eBay every so often as kits or assembled. I've seen people do group buys in various forums. I just couldn't find anybody with boards for sale, kits and or boards, when I went looking, and it was like, well, shoot. Simple enough to take care of. I think it was PCB way I went with, though I'm not totally sure. No, this isn't a sponsored video. You know, it's a pretty clean, open board layout. He's done a good job with that. I know this design has been respun, included other stuff. Of course, that's the beauty of the open source Creative Commons licensing. Let's go ahead and add two of the tantalums next. for the life of me don't remember which lead is positive. And the marking on these does not make it obvious. Well, I'm not going to solder those up yet. We've got a couple of 100 nanofarads, those are 0.1 microfarad. One goes there. One goes over here. And you can assemble just the pieces of the board you want, so you don't have to necessarily stuff every component, depending on how you plan to use the board. You know, if it's a strictly output device, you of course don't need the PS2 connector. That takes care of the couple of spiking caps. We've got a little 8 megahertz crystal oscillator. Yep, that's labeled 8. These were purchased new from DigiKey. Or this was. I bought 10 of them again. Got a minimum order of 10 of everything, so all 10 boards could be stuffed. For the stuff I ordered, I'm going to reflow that, hold him in flat. If I do kind of kit up or build out the others, want the parts. The picks were relatively cheap, but not super cheap. These are just really inexpensive 27 picofarad caps. I bought a little capacitor assortment out of China, little ceramic disc caps ages ago that are serviceable caps. Hopefully my soldering here isn't too boring. Man, those are soft leads. Caps. Of course I could, yeah, I may go with the PickKit 3 and just ISP program these. Do it in circuit, that might actually work. Got the DB15 VGA connector. Make sure that's in flush, and it is. I'm actually going to go down the center row of pins first. It'll decrease the odds of creating a bridge to the outer 2 rows of pins. If I've already got solder on the outer pins, it would be easy to, from the center pin. As it is, I created a bridge right there. I've got a pretty large tip on here. I've been trying to solder with a little bit bigger tip that would be a little more representative of what you'd have in a cheaper soldering pencil, or even temp controlled, you know, solder station, the default tip that comes with it. Just because it's a little bit more accurate to potentially what your experience is. Let's go ahead and take care of the strain relief here. As you can see, the JVC makes quick work of that. Your soldering pencil experience may differ, but the JVC works really well for high thermal demand in a short period of time. Can I get him back on there? I had him in there before. The leads are all a little finicky. Yep, looks like he's flush. Yeah. See a little strain relief here. As you can see, it's pretty quick assembly. Reflow the original pin I first started on. Oh, so I think that's almost all the parts I picked. Like I said, the well, the sockets actually didn't end up exactly straight to each other. They'll still work, but that's a little bit sad. Need to get some tantalums and some pins. The PCB is marked. Trying to flare the leads a bit so it won't fall out, and not having much luck. There's one. Of course, this board does not produce true EI level, RS-232. I think it's swinging +3 and about ground, if I remember right. Which a lot of stuff will see is good enough. I don't know if the hardware I'm intending to interface to will or won't. And we've got a tantalum up here. Shorten those leads up a bit. No, it's coming together really quick. I need I got the voltage regulators that are this bag right here. They are. I need the little 3.3 volt voltage regulator, which assumes I'm going to be feeding the board 5 volts. I need to regulate it down. Boy, I must have bought 20 of these, looking at the quantity. 25. Again, they were really inexpensive, in like 25 quantity. And they'll just get added to my little box of regulators. I see one is the 3.3 volt regulator. Pretty straight there. It's actually a microchip regulator. I didn't realize they made voltage regulators along with processors. I guess they make a lot of stuff. Thinking about it, I just think about their little, their processors, the PIC processors, when I think of microchip. Voltage regulator. I've got pin headers here. I need a little try to hold these all in place. Wow, this one's really being a pain. Wow, it's crooked to one side, crooked to the other side. It's just back and forth here. I really only need this ISP header on one to program the parts. Okay. Well, that's the majority of the way through. Got a bunch of parts here, of course, we didn't use. Cannel them back in this little box. These two connectors don't work. There was another connector here that didn't work. USB one, where did it go? That's odd. I used it as a little bit of a spacer earlier. Well, I'll wrap this up here and call it kind of part one of the assembly. And we'll pick up in the next video. We'll talk soon.